Your schedule is not the reason you feel exhausted all the time. There is a 3-letter word that is stealing your energy every single day. And once you learn how to eliminate it, everything changes. Welcome to the Live Free, Love Life podcast, where we discuss how to create more freedom so we can love our lives no matter what we're going through. Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Have you ever found yourself saying yes when everything inside of you was screaming no? Maybe it was agreeing to host that family dinner when you're already exhausted, volunteering for another committee at your kid's school, having sex with your spouse, or taking on an extra project at work when your plate was already full. I've been there, and I have discovered something life-changing. Giving yourself permission to say no is the key that unlocks true freedom in your life. Now, this might sound counterintuitive. After all, saying yes opens doors, creates opportunities, and makes you a team player. But here's the truth. If you can't say no, you can't really say yes either. At least not in a way that's authentic, joyful, and aligned with who you really are. It's not a real yes. And when I say yes, I mean all caps with an exclamation point. Yes. You cannot say yes if you are not allowed to say no. So let's dive into why saying no might be the missing piece in your fulfillment, in your freedom, in your energy, in your relationships. It really could be the missing piece of all of it. When we say yes, when we really want to say no, we're not actually agreeing. We're surrendering, and not in the good way of surrendering. We are handing over our power to an external source, to external expectations, real or imagined. We are giving it away, literally. And that, yes, comes with a hefty price tag. So take a second and think about the last time that you agreed to something that you didn't really want to do. Maybe it was out of obligation. I should help. They helped me before. Maybe it was fear of disapproval. What will they think about me if I say no? Maybe it was a need for validation. If I do this, they'll like me more. Or if I don't do this, they won't like me. Maybe it was out of guilt. I would feel terrible if I didn't help. Maybe it was out of a fear of conflict. Saying no might cause tension. Maybe it was out of FOMO, the fear of missing out. What if this is an amazing opportunity? Maybe it was out of people-pleasing habit. I just want everyone to be happy. Maybe it was from identity confusion. This is what a good mom, friend, employee, spouse would do. Maybe it was from a lack of boundaries. I don't know how to protect my time and energy. The problem is when we say yes from these places, we're not truly present for the experience. We're divided, physically there, but mentally tallying the cost, emotionally resentful, and spiritually drained. One of my clients recently agreed to host a big family gathering, even though she is struggling with some pretty serious health conditions. The entire time she was cooking and cleaning and getting ready, there was a voice in her head saying, you shouldn't have to do this. No one appreciates how much this is costing you. She was physically present, but emotionally absent, going through the motions while building resentment with every passing minute. It took a toll on both her health and her relationships. That's not a yes. That is a hostage situation. The half-hearted yes is actually a no to yourself. When we say yes, when we really mean no, we're essentially saying no to ourselves, our needs, our boundaries, our well-being. This creates a ripple effect that touches every aspect of our lives. Let me give you some examples. Number one, you can't fully engage. When you're doing something out of obligation, your heart isn't in it. You're physically present, but mentally elsewhere, often counting down until it's over. Number two, you build resentment. Each reluctant yes lays a brick in the wall of resentment you're building towards others and towards yourself for not honoring your own needs. Number three, your authenticity suffers. Living in conflict with your true desires creates a disconnect between who you are and how you're acting. That gap widens over time, leaving you feeling like a stranger to yourself. And this is one of the reasons that many women find themselves completely lost when they become empty nesters. They truly don't know who they are anymore. Number 4, your energy depletes. Saying yes to things that don't align with your values or current capacity drains your energy reserves faster than almost anything else. Number 5, you miss opportunities that matter. Every yes to something that doesn't serve you is a no to something that would. Time is a non-renewable resource. Number 6, you train others to disregard your boundaries. When you consistently override your own needs to meet other people's expectations, you teach them that your boundaries are flexible or non-existent. Number 7, you lose respect, both your self-respect and the respect of others. Deep down, we respect people who know and honor their limits. Number 8, you compromise your health. Chronic people pleasing and boundary violations can lead to stress, burnout, anxiety, and even physical illness. Trust me, I am an expert in this area. The cost is simply too high. So let's talk about the liberation of no. Learning to say no isn't about becoming selfish or unavailable. It's about becoming intentional with your most precious resources, your time, your energy, and your presence. When you give yourself permission to say no to what doesn't serve you, amazing things happen. Number 1, your yes becomes powerful. When you say yes only to what truly matters to you, you bring your full self to the experience. You're all in, heart, mind, and soul. Number 2, you experience genuine joy. Without the cloud of resentment or obligation, you can actually enjoy what you're doing and be present in the moment. Number 3, you honor your true self. Saying no when necessary means you're listening to your inner wisdom and respecting your own needs and boundaries. Number 4, you gain energy. Instead of being drained by obligations, you're energized by alignment with your values and desire. Number 5, you make space for the right opportunities. Saying no to what doesn't serve you creates space for what does. Number 6, you earn authentic respect. People may not always like your no or even agree with it, but they'll respect your clarity and honesty. And most importantly, you'll respect yourself because you're doing what you actually want to do. Number 7, you model healthy boundaries. Your example helps others, especially our kids, learn to honor their own boundaries. Number 8, you discover who truly supports you. Those who only value you for what you can do for them will fall away, leaving only relationships built on mutual respect. So one of my clients, we'll call her Rachel, had always been the family fixer. Everyone came to her with their problems. And she never said no, even when their requests interfered with her own family's needs. After working together, she declined to host Thanksgiving for the first time in 15 years. She was so scared. She thought everybody was going to be mad at her and think that she didn't care about them or want a relationship with them or whatever. She was really afraid to do that. But instead, something totally unexpected and surprising happened. Her sister stepped up to host. Several family members contributed dishes and they had never even offered before. And my client was able to enjoy the holiday without exhaustion. And even more surprising to her, not me, was that her relationships improve because she was present and engaged rather than stressed and resentful. This was the first time in her life that she realized that her family didn't love her for what she did for them. They just loved her. And it was so much easier for her to love them when she wasn't burning herself out trying to prove her worth, or so much easier to love them when she's not creating resentment towards them, because this is what we do when we create resentment. We make a choice and then we blame others for that choice. We're the ones that chose to do the thing, but we blame other people for our own choice. And she didn't realize how much that was affecting those relationships. This is the paradox of boundaries. They do not push people away, at least the right people, the people we actually want in our lives. They create conditions for genuine connection, much better relationship. No, I'm not saying it's always going to go this way. Most often, when we start to say no, when we have been in the habit of saying yes all of the time, the people in our lives don't really like that. And that's okay. They have primitive brains, and primitive brains don't like new things. They like to know exactly what to expect at all times because then they know how dangerous or safe it is. Most of the time, it gets worse before it gets better because when we start saying no, people fight back against that. They resist. Now, again, that's not because of you. That's because their brain is doing exactly what their human brain is meant to do. In this exact situation, it worked out beautifully right from the start, and it was amazing. And sometimes that happens. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it looks really bad, which makes it even more scary to keep saying no. But I promise you, eventually, and it doesn't necessarily need to take a long time, but at some point, it is 10 million times better than it was before. And sometimes that means some people have dropped out of your life because they don't like you saying no. They don't like boundaries. They don't like you for you. They just like you for what you provide for them. We don't want those people in our lives anyway. Sometimes it does mean people will drop away. And that's okay because the people who are left, your relationships will be so much better. So if you try this and you're not like my client and everything just goes beautifully and it blows up in your face, that's normal. It's totally fine. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to work for you. I promise. Just keep doing it. And at some point, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I stuck with it. So let's talk about how to actually give yourself permission to say no. How do we move from reluctant people pleasing to empowered boundary setting, to saying no when what we really mean is no, when we don't really want to do it, when we don't really have the bandwidth to do it? It begins with permission, the permission that you give to yourself. Nobody else has to give you permission. You have to give yourself permission to say no. So here's how to start. Step number 1, recognize that your worth isn't in your utility. Your value as a human being is inherent. It is not based on how useful you are to others. And that's what I mean by utility. It's not based on how busy your calendar is. It's not based on how many people you can please, how many people you can make happy. You are worthy of respect, love, and your own care simply because you exist. This fundamental truth is the foundation for healthy boundaries, but also healthy relationships. When you know your worth isn't determined by your yes, saying no becomes so much easier. Practice the pause. When asked to commit to something, don't answer immediately. Make it a habit to say, let me check my calendar and get back to you. This gives you time to check in with yourself about whether this commitment aligns with your values, capacity, and priorities. During that pause, ask yourself, do I have the time and energy for this? Is this aligned with my values and priorities? If I say yes, will I feel resentful later? Am I saying yes out of obligation or true desire? Do I really want to do this? What will I have to say no to in order to say yes to this? Step number 3, start small. Like any new skill, saying no gets easier with practice. Start with low stake situation where the consequences of declining are minimal. And then as you get more comfortable, you can tackle more challenging situations. Number 4, use simple, direct language. You don't need elaborate explanations or excuses to decline. Simple phrases like these are completely sufficient. I'm not able to commit to that right now. That doesn't work for me. I have other priorities I want to focus on right now. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm going to pass. Notice that none of these include the word sorry. While there are obviously times when an apology is appropriate, declining an invitation or setting a boundary isn't one of them. These phrases also don't include explanations or justifications. That's intentional. You don't need to explain why you're saying no or justify your decision to anyone. When we feel compelled to explain our no, we're often seeking approval for our boundary, which defeats the purpose of setting one in the first place. A simple no is complete all on its own. It is not rude to decline without elaboration. It's clear and respectful of both your time and the other person. The more you practice this kind of direct communication, the more you'll find that most people respond better to clarity rather than lengthy justifications that can actually invite debate or persuasion attempts, meaning they usually result in more conflict. Step number 5, separate the person from the request. Remember that saying no to a request is not the same as rejecting the person who's making the request. Some people will understand this distinction. And for those who don't, those who take your boundaries personally or try to manipulate you into compliance, that is valuable information about the health of that relationship and valuable information about that person. This is their work to do, and they can either choose to do it or not, but it is not on you. Number 6, reframe the guilt. When guilt arises, and it will, especially if we're reprogramming old patterns, recognize it as a programmed response, not an accurate moral compass. Reframe it as evidence that you are growing beyond your old pattern, not that you're doing something wrong. So that might sound something like this. I notice that I'm feeling guilt right now. That makes sense because I'm changing patterns that have been in place for a really long time. But this is necessary for my well-being, and I choose to honor it. Number 7, envision the freedom on the other side. When saying no feels difficult, focus on what you're saying yes to instead. Energy for your priorities, peace of mind, authentic relationship, and alignment with your true self. This isn't just about declining, it's about reclaiming your life. Okay, so we've spent most of this podcast talking about saying no to specific requests or obligations, but this principle extends to much bigger life choices. This is about the freedom to choose your life. So let's consider your marriage, for instance. Women who believe divorce is completely off the table, who can't even conceptualize saying no to their relationship, often can't fully say yes to it either. And remember, when I say yes, I mean all caps with an exclamation point. Yes. While they did choose this relationship at the beginning, right? You chose to get married, you chose this person. They're now in the relationship by default rather than choice because they have not given themselves the permission or allowance or opportunity to say no to it. If there isn't the possibility of no, then the possibility of yes isn't there. We're just in the relationship by default, not because we choose it. In contrast, women who know they have options, who recognize they could leave but choose to stay, typically experience greater satisfaction and engagement in their marriages. They're not trapped, they're committed. And that difference transforms everything about how they show up in the relationship. Now, you might think that not giving yourself a no is committed. It's not. It's trapped. You have to have the ability to say no, at least the permission to say no. You have to allow yourself to say no, to say yes. Okay. The same applies to other significant areas of life. Let's say going to church on Sunday is non-negotiable in your mind. It's not a choice. This is just what we do. Maybe because it's something you think you should do, and you're not even questioning whether it's the thing that serves your spiritual growth or whether it serves your highest purpose. It's just something you should do, and so you do it, and no is not an option. You will never experience the depth of connection that comes from choosing your spiritual practice consciously. When you remove the option to say no, anything, a job, a relationship, a belief system, a tradition, you rob yourself of the empowerment that comes from choice. You move through life on autopilot rather than with intention. Now, this doesn't mean that you should constantly question everything or that you should lack commitment. It means recognizing that even your most fundamental commitments are choices that you can reaffirm daily from a place of freedom rather than obligation. You're doing it because you want to. You are here because this is where you want to be. The woman who knows that she could leave her marriage, but chooses to stay and invest in it fully. The professional who recognizes they could change careers, but consciously recommits to their current path. The person who explores different spiritual traditions, but deliberately chooses the one that resonates most deeply. These individuals experience a level of and fulfillment that is impossible to achieve when operating from obligation. Their yes isn't just a nod of agreement. It's a wholehearted embrace of what they truly desire. The beautiful irony of learning to say no is that it ultimately leads to your most powerful yes. When you are free from obligation, people pleasing, and a fear of disapproval, you can make choices from a place of authentic desire and alignment. This is where true joy, fulfillment, and impact are found, not in exhausting yourself to meet others' expectations, but in contributing from the overflow of a well-boundaried life. Imagine saying yes with your whole heart because you genuinely want to, not because you feel like you should. Imagine being fully present for the experiences you choose without the undercurrent of resentment or overwhelm. Imagine the quality of your work, relationships, and self-care when they're fueled by authentic desire rather than obligation. This is the freedom that awaits on the other side of no. Here are some questions to consider. What in your life are you saying yes to out of obligation rather than desire? What would change if you gave yourself full permission to say no when needed? Where have you experienced the negative effects of reluctant agreement? What's one small boundary you could set this week as practice? How might your relationships actually improve if you were more honest about your capacity and desires? Giving yourself permission to say no isn't about becoming selfish or unavailable. It's about being intentional with your most precious resources, your time, your energy, and your presence. So you can say yes from a place of freedom rather than obligation. When you can say no without guilt or fear, your yes becomes a gift freely given, not a tax reluctantly paid. And that's where you'll find the deep satisfaction and joy that come from living authentically in alignment with your true self. So the next time you feel pressure to say yes when you really want to say no, remember, a reluctant yes serves no one well. Your authentic no makes space for a wholehearted yes. That is where the magic happens. Live free, love life. Thanks so much for watching today. Before you go, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss an episode. And while you're still here, I've got something special for you. My Live Free Love Life membership now has a completely free level. You can start transforming your life right now without spending a dime. You'll get access to certain courses, content, and tools that will help you break free from whatever is holding you back and create a life you absolutely love. And when you're ready for even more support, you can easily upgrade to get access to our live coaching calls, as well as way more tools and content. There's honestly no reason not to join the free level today. Just click the link in the description below to get started. Until next time, live free, love life.